How's it going, folks? Welcome to the Riffing with Jeza podcast. It's been 2 weeks since my maiden voyage, and it was I was planning to do it way earlier, but I wanted to practice what I preached. I talked about bringing presence, because my phone was going nuts, and I talked about making a decision not to react, and bringing presence to everything. And I was saying that I've done this before in the past, so I've gone into deep states of peace, and it's been quite transformational. So I wanted to get back and do another podcast, probably like within, at the latest, a week, maybe 3 or 4 days. So it's been close to 2 weeks, and I still have done fuck all of this practice. And what I suggest on the podcast is just people could just do 1 minute. And isn't that amazing that I've kind of been unable to even muster up a minute? Just incredible. So I haven't given up on this. I mean, I have done it a couple times, I've got to say. But I'm going to keep you posted on this, because I know that it works, and I've felt it, and it's been very effective. So I just thought, I don't know why I've resisting this so much. This is ridiculous. Setting the bar at 1 minute, and I can't even do that. It's just ridiculous. It's quite funny though. So anyway, long story short, I just thought, I can't keep waiting to, I'm going to be dead by the time I do a second podcast. So I just thought, I'm just going to turn up and, just confess the fuck up, and then just, we move on. But I do want to footnote this and just say, I want to come back to this, because I do know, as I said, it's been magical for me in the past. So I want to come back to this point and then just, give feedback on the results and the outcomes and the journey with it. So, but I wanted to mention something else that's kind of funny. A couple other things. So with this thing with the phone, there's one particular night, and I was feeling pretty good in myself. Okay, and the phone was just going totally nuts. Just schizo all over the place. And then I instinctively felt this phone is an extension of me. Like, I felt its anxiety, and I felt its incoherence. And it's quite funny. I sent love to the phone. Like, I kind of felt compassion for it, for this part of me which the phone was representing. And so I kind of sent love to my phone, as well as feeling compassion for it. Well, essentially compassion for that part of myself. And I've sometimes had this experience in writing songs where I can hear the pain and suffering. Like, another part of me is watching my personality suffer in deep suffering. Or I can hear aspects to my singing or the guitar, or I can hear the longing and the sadness or whatever. Like, sometimes I'm shocked, but it's like an oversight. It's like a higher mind witnessing and sort of seeing the humanity in it. But out of humanity, something beautiful coming. And anyway, so there's a little bit of that a little bit of that observation aspect, you know, almost like a higher mind observing the situation. Anyway, so yes, I felt compassion for that part of myself that was playing out in the phone. And pretty quickly, like, the flickering just stopped. Now I'm using the phone now, and touch wood, it's just been incredible. Like, it's just, so basically in that moment it 85 to 90%, maybe even 95% fixed itself. Like, it went from basically unusable to totally usable with a few sort of hiccups here and there. Now bear in mind, a tech has said there's something wrong with the screen. So the tech has said there's something mechanically wrong with the phone. So, you know, because I actually did the tech actually, you know, did a, I don't know if he pulled it apart, but he did tests or whatever. So I assume he's done tests rather than just sort of, you know, seeing it do its thing and then assumed. Anyway, but either way, the phone fixed itself 95%, let's say, within a couple minutes. And now the phone is pretty much totally right. Now this phone was getting so unusable, and just one night of sending it love, and now it's fine. Like, this is fucking incredible. This is absolutely incredible. So, and I just instinctively felt it was an extension of me, and I did that. Like, I mean, I know that there is that sort of energetic quantum idea, you know, Louise Hay talks about it, and different people, and I think there is something to it. But when I sent the phone love, and when I saw it as an extension of myself, this wasn't something that I got, in that moment, this wasn't something I got out of a book. This was just what I instinctively felt at that moment. And it's been totally fine ever since. Just incredible. Just incredible. And I'm going through a big change at the moment, and it's really funny. There's so many aspects to this where I can feel the ground is shifting beneath my feet. Have you ever had that experience where you feel like the earth is shifting beneath you? And sometimes nothing is happening on the surface, but it's just so obvious. There's a big shift happening, and that's happening at the moment. And this aspect around sending love is quite incredible. Because that last month I had some issues. There was some conflict that came up, and there was some really quite outrageous, just galling and outrageous behaviour sent in my direction, which I couldn't really do anything about. You know, I knew the reasons, I knew what was going on, but I wasn't in a position to really do anything about it. And it was done in such a way that it's kind of done gaslighting, you know, in a way that it looks fine, but it looks in the ballpark of okay, but it's completely not. So it's sort of at two levels. I don't want to go into it too much, but anyway, the gist of it is that it just felt outraged, and I felt angry about it, but there was nothing I could do, and I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. But I didn't know how to resolve my anger over it. And then I went to bed, and I kind of sent a little meditative prayer out for asking guidance on this. And because if you're stuck in negative emotions, you're never going to, as well as feeling shitty, you're never going to get any answers. Like you're not going to get any insights, and you're not really going to get things happen in the physical world. It's going to be, you know how when you're pissed off, things just don't work. Things don't happen. Like things don't, the outside world will reflect those emotions. And so I was aware of the fact that, in the physical world, I had tried to resolve this, a few times, and it was just butted back a little bit gallingly. But in the end, and so I wasn't able to resolve it in the physical world. So, and it certainly from my perspective, it felt really just outrageously galling. But basically I was left with this impotence feeling and anger because I couldn't. But I knew this emotion was not helpful at all. So, I thought, because I knew it was just looping around and it wasn't helping me. Like, no matter what somebody else does or what you feel the unfairness is, like, if you're stuck with a negative emotion, that can only harm you, regardless of how you got there. So as I said, like, I asked the universe to help me sort of release this emotion, because I recognised this is not helping me. And so in the morning, I remembered a practice that I did years ago that I got from a writer called Naval Ravikant, I think his name is. He wrote this beautiful little book, quite famous book now, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And I listened to it on an audiobook several times. And essentially he just sent love to himself, and he completely shifted his life physically, financially, everything. Every aspect was totally shifted within a month. Anyway, so basically I started practicing that again, and yeah, it completely worked. Like it sort of, I felt it's really helped shift the anger. And a couple other magical little things happened in my life, unrelated, but just the outside world sort of got better. So this love idea, because basically all of us in our core state, our state of being, like our true nature is unconditional love. And I've tapped into that before. Like there's a period of time where I let my spirit guide every move, and I tapped into this feeling of unconditional love probably for about 3 months. I just felt complete grace. I felt every emotion more intensely though, negative ones too. They'd come in very strong and I'd let them go, but they'd come in a lot more intensely. But long story short, I tapped into this unconditional love. Anyway, so this was just something that's worked for me since my last podcast. Anyway, so that's kind of probably the end of the story for today. But I wanted to tell you about this experience of just sending yourself love. The other thing that happens when you send yourself love, you realise the tapes that are playing that are the opposite of that, and how there's this habitual nastiness there. You know, there's some belief there that you know, because when we're young, we're punished for doing the quote unquote wrong thing. So there'll be a habitual belief in, you know, most of us, where we think, okay, so if something's not right, I need to punish myself. Or if something's not right, I need to be unhappy. You know, if something's not working out, I need to be unhappy. Because if I'm unhappy, then sometimes subconsciously we think we get attention. Anyway, that's a slightly different topic, but anyway, it's just anyway, so today's little story is around bringing love to a situation. So my take-home suggestion today, and this is said by someone who didn't do the homework at all. So you can take or leave this if you want, but around the idea of sending love to situations, or just sending love to yourself. Because often a situation, because like you can be angry at someone else, but like in essence, you know, I sort of realized it's actually sort of like if someone else rejects you, then it's kind of confirming, sometimes what it's doing, it's confirming your own self-rejection of not worthiness. And so that's what's really bothering you underneath. Like Eckhart Tolle has this thing, and he says that, sorry about all this traffic, it's fucking annoying. Eckhart Tolle has this thing, and he says, whenever you're bothered by somebody else, it's always you. And I thought about that, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. Like, given this situation was so extreme, but I thought, okay, if that's true, and that's kind of a little bit what led me to the self-love thing, because underneath all of that, it was tapping into this thing that I'm not enough or something, or this self-rejection thing. It's quite incredible. Anyway, so again, to come back to the theme maybe that you could try if you want to, try this thing, try cultivating self-love. And so you can do this the way Naval Ravikant showed me through his book, was he would just repeat over and over, I love myself, I love myself. You could also like do it with your name, like I love you Jeremy, I love you Jeremy, and almost, or you know, obviously your name. So like whatever way you feel, like whatever way where your body, because your body is your barometer, and so anytime you notice your body responding to it, if your body's been calmed down or feeling better, then you know that it's hitting home. And so, in fact, any situation where you're bothered, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And almost getting into a rhythm, because getting into a rhythm, this is like almost pre-verbal, you know, like being rocked to sleep. I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And it's almost like hypnotic, I love myself, I love myself. And as you do that, you start to realize that so many things that bother you, it's coming from the feeling of not being enough. You know, say you're getting your coffee, right? And the person kind of seems aloof. You know, some part of you is annoyed, right? But why are you annoyed? Because you feel like you've just been, they've just emotionally, kind of flicked you a bit. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. So that when you feel complete, you're not going to be bothered by someone doing that. And on the surface, you might think, oh, they should be friendly or whatever. But underneath, what's really going on is that you feel like you feel hurt because you weren't acknowledged. I love myself. I love myself. And it's not even about the logic of it. Of course the logic says, why does it matter? Like, don't know this person, they're like that with everyone. But your emotional body still takes it seriously. It's quite incredible. And your emotional body hears those words. It's quite funny, there's a guy that I work with, right, and he's got autism, and I told him to go tell the owner, I said, go tell him you love him. And the guy's got, the client has intellectual things as well, so he doesn't really know what he's doing, but he went and told the owner he loved him. And the owner would have known that I set this up. And yet the owner's heart opened up beautifully. And I've seen this happen multiple times. It's quite amazing. So intellectually they might think, well, he set it up, blah, blah, blah. But inside, the person's soul receives it. Because the feeling and the words of I love you are universal. And they're almost pre-verbal. And they're visceral. So they're almost beyond the intellect, Not quite, because they're a word. But either way, logically that shouldn't matter. Logically, that should have had no effect, and yet it did. And every time he's done it, I've seen it happen every single time. It's quite beautiful to see. And when I do see it, I notice it actually helps their relationship, which is not that great. But it's quite amazing. Anyway, so to come back to the point, so this traffic is annoying me. And I'm thinking, so deep down that's because something in me is unsettled. And so I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. So the more that acknowledging and confirmation is given, the more external won't matter. And as I said, like we think it's the cars, or whatever, they shouldn't be there. Pretty stupid, but that's what the mind thinks. The mind will think, okay, cars shouldn't be there. And but the soothing thing of I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love you, man. So anyway, so this is my suggestion. Let me know how you go. I shared this stuff with a friend years ago. I saw her start to change in 2 days. She looked different. Within 2 days, she became a different person. It's quite incredible. She became a lot more attractive very, very quickly. And it's quite interesting. I saw her life change so quickly, and everyone is starting to notice it. And then she mingled with an old friend of hers, and I saw their energy went back into sort of criticism and fuck you and kind of like all that sort of stuff. And then she just reverted back to her old self. And then I never saw that new self again. It's quite incredible how quickly it could evolve into something amazing. But then when someone else pulled in the old, then it just went back to the shitty estate, and she never seemed to get it back. It's quite incredible to watch, you know. So the old self, so if you try this and you feel better, and at some point the old self kicks in, that doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means that the old self has been there a while, so it's got gravitational pull. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth of her. But she went back into that old self because it seemed to be her normal. Just quite incredible to see it. Absolutely incredible. So it's a good reminder to myself. So I thought, okay, the old shitty programs are going to lurk. You're going to, so you just have to be aware of that. They're going to lurk, and they're going to lie to you, and they're going to tell you stuff that isn't the truth. They're going to take you off course. They're going to say, this isn't working. You know, so it's almost like a spoiled brat that's dysfunctional and will always take you away from what'll make you feel good. But it sounds convincing when it says that. And if that comes in, I love myself. I love myself. You just keep going back to it. I love myself. I love myself. Anyway, I think that's all I want to say today. So yeah, give it a crack and tell me what you think. Very interested.
Riffing with Jeza. We're riffing with Jeza.